Hi everyone! So today I'm going to show you how to make a polymer clay transfer. What is a polymer clay transfer, you might ask? Well, that is when you take an image and you transfer it onto polymer clay. Easy enough. Once you've done that, you can turn it into anything you'd like. In this instance, I've transformed one of my drawings into a brooch. I'm not sure how clear that's showing up, but it's of a mermaid. So, you can turn it into anything you'd like once you've done this. Another example of using it is the wings on this fairy brooch is actually an original drawing that I've done. So it's been transferred onto the polymer. So just a few examples of how you can use this. Okay, so because I'm an artist, I do my original drawings. So this is what the mermaid looked like originally. It was just a pencil drawing that I then copied. I reduced it in size and everything and copied it so that it would be small enough to go on a brooch or pendant. If you aren't artistically inclined, you can use photographs. You can use images from books, like, there's some really beautiful little illustrations and things that you can get, and especially older books. Obviously, if you're thinking of selling whatever you're going to make, you do want to keep in mind that if you're not using your original stuff, you need to use things that aren't copyrighted. Obviously, if you're using someone else's imagery and you're planning on making money from it, it can't be something that's copyrighted. So just keep that in mind. So after you've chosen your image, you want to Xerox it. I find that Xerox works best. It just transfers really cleanly, but you can try other things. I know some people have luck taking clippings from magazines and turning that into artwork and things, so it's something you can certainly experiment with. There's no right or wrong way to do things per se. It's just I've had a lot of luck with Xerox. I just find the ink transfers really well. So, but being creative is all about experimentation, so just try things out, experiment, and have fun. Okay, so once you've chosen your image and you've Xeroxed it, you want to cut it down to the size that you want your piece to be. At this point, you can, if you want, color it with colored pencils. I've done it both ways. I've either colored it ahead of time, or I have just painted it after it's baked and everything. So that's completely up to you. I do find that Prismacolors work a little better because they're a little more waxy, so the color transfers a little bit better. But again, it's all about experimentation, so if you want to play around with different mediums and see what transfers and what doesn't, you're more than welcome to. I'm going to leave this just black and white for the sake of teaching you guys about this. But once you've done that, you want to choose the polymer that you're going to use. I typically find that lighter polymers work best. It doesn't have to necessarily be white. I typically do use white because I am painting, pretty detailed stuff on it, so I want my paints to show up and not the color of the polymer. But if you want to do a black and white image on a colored polymer, you're more than welcome to play around with that. It's certainly possible. Obviously, lighter colors, it will just help for the ink to show up a little bit better. But again, just experiment and have some fun. So once you've chosen your polymer, you just want to prepare it, which just involves kneading it into a nice manageable size. I don't actually need as much as I have here. But once you've kneaded it, I would flatten it a little bit, and then I'm going to put it into my pasta maker. Now, if you don't have a pasta maker, you can roll it out with just like one of these little rollers. They have those at pretty much every craft store that carries polymer, but I really do find that the pasta maker works best. You again are, of course, welcome to try anything you'd like, but the pasta machine is just a little bit better, in my humble opinion. I usually put it through twice just to make sure it's nice and smooth and flat. It has a little bit of residue from something, but that won't bother it. I actually don't need it to be I'm not worrying about the residue just because I'm going to be painting on it, so, you know, once the paint is applied, it's not going to matter much. You are welcome to just sort of flatten it a little bit better with your roller. Once you've done this, you're just going to take your image, place it face down. One thing I did forget to mention is that your image is going to be reversed. So if that matters at all to you, you might want to go into the computer or something and kind of flip it so that you can have it the correct way. But in this case, it really doesn't matter that much. The mermaid looks good both ways. So then I just sort of roll it on there. Once I've gotten it rolled out, I just take my little flat edge cutter. I cut the polymer down to size. This is a little difficult to do because I'm doing it sort of around the camera. But anyway, you're getting the gist of it. So once you cut it down to size, at this point what I will typically do is burnish it with a spoon. So once I get it like this, I'm going to burnish it with a spoon. I keep this spoon specifically for this purpose. I've stated before, I mean, a lot of times you'll find your kitchen supplies, things that you have in your kitchen, will work really well as a polymer tool, but don't reuse it as a kitchen utensil. Once you've used it as a polymer tool, just keep it for your polymer stuff, because this stuff, even though it says it's non-toxic, it's not the safest stuff. I recently left some on my furniture unbaked. It was on an old coffee table, so I really didn't care, but after a couple of days I went to remove it and realized it had literally eaten through the varnish on my coffee table. And not just the varnish, but I think there was a laminate on that wood too, and it's literally just eaten down to the wood. So if that doesn't prove to you that this stuff is a little more harmful than they say, I don't know what will prove to you. So anyway, just be careful. I mean, obviously once I'm done with this, I'm going to completely wipe my hands off and clean them and everything. And the spoon is not going anywhere near my mouth ever. So once I've burnished it, which is just essentially rubbing, it's essentially just rubbing on the paper against the polymer to really get it to stick on there. Once I've done that, I actually find that it's best to let it sit for, I mean, at least like 30 minutes. I mean, if you can, if you have the time, I mean, if you've done this at night, just let it sit overnight. I just really find that helps for the image to really just be sort of absorbed by that clay. And then once you do this, you're going to bake it. You will bake it at about 260 to 65 or so degrees Fahrenheit. I've discussed in my past videos on polymer that you typically want to use a polymer oven. If you don't use a polymer oven, you want to at least use one of these oven thermometers and put that in there in your normal oven before you bake, just to make sure that the temperature is right, because when you do bake polymer, it can be toxic if it's burned. So you just want to be careful of the temperature and make sure you're not burning your polymer. So anyway, I'm going to let this sit for just a little bit. I'm going to bake it for, judging by the thickness, I would say about 20-25 minutes or so, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so my polymer has baked for about 20 minutes. Typically you'd want to let it wait about 30 minutes till it's nice and cool, but for the sake of this video, to sort of expedite things, I'm going to take off the paper now. You just want to gently peel it off, and there you go. You have your polymer transfer. Now I have shown some examples too. I have some here. But if I were to have colored it with colored pencil first, this is what it would have looked like. Either that one or like this one. If you don't want to color it with the colored pencils first, you can just do it like I did right here, where it becomes a little black and white outline. And you can either leave it like this, or you can paint it. I don't think I talked about what to paint it with. I would stick with acrylics, personally. Acrylics work best. You can experiment with like watercolor, but definitely not oils. Either acrylics or watercolors. But you know, once you have painted this and everything, you can varnish it, and then you can wrap it like I did this one, so that you can turn it into a piece of jewelry. Well, that's the end of my polymer clay transfer tutorial. I hope you liked it, and thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye! Okay, so just in case you thought I was making it up about my coffee table, this is my coffee table, and I don't know if you can see this. I mean, it's still like gelled. The top coat of, I mean, I'm pretty sure this is like a laminate and a varnish, and it's like still sort of soft. It's so creepy. I don't know, I had no idea that polymer clay could do this, but pretty scary. So now that I've scared the bejesus out of you, yeah, have fun with your polymer.